Without further ado, I will continue. As you noticed that Andrew Armstrong introduced the concept of character assassination and justified the importance of studying it. Martin delved into a historical fact, suggesting things that we may use in our understanding of politics of today. My brief presentation will be about what kind of evidence we use, what evidence we use in our research, and how we apply this evidence to the theory and also hopefully application. We represent CARP. It's a lab, international research lab. We study character assassination applications, and we do have many associates around the world. And also, just using the occasion, should say that we have our 5th conference in March. Will be near Washington, D.C., and follow our announcements. You can easily find us online, CARP Research Lab, Study Character Assassination. I'll begin with a case in point, then we'll ask some questions and answer them myself, and then illustrate those answers in several examples and make a conclusion, so we'll be finishing on time as planned. Case in point, Mao Zedong of China and Nikita Khrushchev of Soviet Union didn't like each other. Despite being leaders of 2 huge communist countries and despite quite authoritative leaders in their countries, they claim loyalty to Marxism, Leninism, but their personalities clashed. The struggle in the second half of the 1950s was strategic, ideological, political, cultural, but also ultimately, noticeably, it was really personal. Mao, and I quote, just been documented by the witnesses and by numerous sources, and I use only a few examples. Mao called Khrushchev shifty, flamboyant, shallow, a liar, two-faced, and pathetic. Khrushchev called Mao ungrateful, arrogant, capricious, and all galosh. Galosh is a rubber boot, just very popular in the 50s and the 60s. It's also an important point because the term galosh in Russian was incorrectly translated into Chinese, Mandarin, and as a prostitute. So Mao was told that Khrushchev called Mao an old prostitute, and that's, you understand, the consequences. Then organized media campaigns, both countries escalated and frequent and always nationalistic insults, further fueling conflict tensions between both countries. And cooperation between them collapsed, and joint projects abandoned, and Soviet and China cut off their relations to the point of hostilities. Questions I am asking is that, and statements I make right here, this interconnected, that we don't believe that character attacks cause international conflicts, although those of you who study history may say, well, there's some cases like a Franco-Prussian war like back in the 80s, 70s, certain infamous telegram, and that caused the war between 2 great countries. Well, it was just an incident. The war, the causes were brewing, and the telegram, which was misinterpreted and corrected and edited, was just the last straw that broke the back of the camel. We believe that tensions rise first, there's environment, and then insults, simply character attacks, they emerge as tool of signaling and also mobilizing public opinion in home countries, and also serve as important proving point of political leaders. They like what they say, they enjoy what they say, they sort of prove their own importance and prove that their position is right. Questions I ask here, and we ask, what roles do character attacks play in politics, international politics in particular? Of what is taking place in the heads of political leaders when they're insulted, ridiculed, called names, humiliated? Do they care about that, or just they are thin-skinned and must reply to every insult they hear, especially from foreign leaders? Can this attack be simply ignored by people in power? Just simply forget about this and move on. And also, how these attacks contribute to mistrust between 2 states, how they sustain conflicts, how they affect the rising tensions, hostility, and complicate, even derail international efforts. So And we believe that impact is quite significant. What we do is we collect cases. Very difficult to do empirical research and experiments because they not easily translate into field of politics and very difficult to replicate. So therefore, maybe the best opportunity for us to collect case studies, ask expert opinion, analyze them, and then put them together in certain format. And this is our humble attempt to represent this research in very abbreviated way. Well, for context, and this is done deliberately, we, at least at this stage, we describe 4 important tactics in character attacks. Denigration, using mockery, ridicule, and name-calling, just simply to insult leader. Second, demonization, comparing leader to, well, a demon or the devil, something sinister, something evil. Third, emasculation, accusing male leader of being too feminine in the face of foreign threats. And also masculinization, accusing a leader, usually female leader, of exhibiting toxic, masculine, risky, and unreasonably hostile actions. And actually examples of things that's from 70s and contemporary, Trump and Berlusconi there, and then Trump and Kamala Harris, and then also former Chancellor of Germany, and 2 big shoes to fill. Denigration, here's examples, very simple. Late Hugo Chavez case on podium, UN, just a few statements just he made about George Bush. Ignoramus, donkey, coward, killer, alcoholic, drunk, liar, and so forth. One of the examples in these questions we try to answer that sometimes those character attacks are not planned. They're used by social media, multiplied, enforced, like a very famous example, which I may not show in China, comparing President Xi to Winnie the Pooh. They appeared on social media. See, this is cartoon characters, and this is unlucky for Xi. It's just he and Obama marching together, looking exactly like that. Talk to any person in China today, talk to any person who using WeChat and has connection to China, they will say that any hints, any images, even just allegories associated with Winnie the Pooh will be deleted by Chinese authorities. Why? Are they afraid? Just a little bit later, I will address this question and tell you that this simple comparison of President Xi to Winnie the Pooh is considered to be insult of a leader, especially if it's done by foreigners, but also by Chinese nationals. More about this later. Demonization, easy to describe. Example, few cases, just quickly. Helmut Kohl of Germany called Gorbachev way back in '85, comparing him to Joseph Goebbels, you know who he was. It was the famed Nazi official. And Gorbachev was replying in kind. It was documented, not about Kohl, but he talked about President Reagan, called him a dinosaur, just told to his comrades in Politburo, Soviet Union, dinosaur, just for Reagan's position. It was 1985, just early in their relations. Putin was always portrayed by critics as a demon, as a monster, as a bloodsucker. And even the association with Vlad, which is incorrect because he is not Vlad, he is Vladimir. Vlad is Vladislav, but anyway, just association is quite clear, suggesting that's why Vlad did Dracula, right? And it is almost impossible to find any political leader, in the East and the West, South and North, who would not have been associated with the vampire, demon, witch, and so forth. Just anybody, just find a name. Just go on Google and find cartoons, caricatures, unless they're censored by the government. Masculinization, easy to find example. Maggie Thatcher, for example. Well, contemporary European leaders and more and more women now obtain position of power in European countries, and accusations of being too ironclad, too powerful, too bullish, too masculine, quite common. And also you multiple examples to the right side, you see, was for some reason extremely popular and extremely sensational in the Russian media not long ago to talk about gender or sex of wife of President President Macron. So it just, I was surprised. Just people ask me question, is it true? Just, is she a man? In fact, does it really matter? No, well, just all Russian media just fill up with those comments. It's a really massive, massive media avalanche of reports and papers about her being actually a man, just showing that's her transition in the past. And finally, here on the list, emasculation. So insulting and comparing leader to something diminutive, something small. I use only one example, and so the disputes among political science whether it actually happened, but the vast majority of people who told me about this, and they say, yes, it happened, but former President of Georgia, Saakashvili, calling President Putin Lily Putin, like just referring to a famous novel, Gulliver's Travels, about people, well, all people there. So essentially, it's just rhyming Putin, Lily Putin. It was not really well received in Russia because Putin is relatively not a very tall man. He is 5'6". It's about, you can translate metric system. So sorry for claiming ignorance of use myth. So he's not very tall man. It's again very sensitive issue for him. And I'm not saying that it caused war. Russia against Georgia in 2008, but maybe it was one of the factors. Putin didn't like comparisons with a short man. 4 basic functions. Why do character attacks effective? Why are they effective? Why do they appear effective? Why are they affecting a policy? To mobilize supporters. So you send a message to your supporters, just still firm. You prevent defections from your camp, just to opposition and to opposition, swaying the undecided people, and also create confusion within opposition. We provide 4 conclusions here. It's not a character attacks that shape foreign policy, but rather the existing policies and tensions that give rise to attacks. Smears and insults, while potent, a reflection of deeper conflicts rather than root causes. However, character attacks can exacerbate ongoing tensions, inflate nationalist statements, and escalate hostilities, potentially derailing diplomatic efforts. Of course, further explanation will help us to understand this phenomena better and leaving us better prepared to anticipate and mitigate the fallout of such attacks. It's a work in progress. Thank you.